The sun hung high in the sky, casting its golden rays across the vast savanna, a landscape teeming with life and vibrant colors. Amid the swaying grasses, a pregnant zebra named Zara found herself in a precarious situation, trapped at the bottom of a deep pit. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. The pit had formed during the last rains, a sudden hollow that had caught her off guard while she was grazing nearby. With her belly heavy with the weight of her unborn foal, Zara struggled against the slippery walls, her hooves skidding against the mud. Panic coursed through her veins as she let out a series of desperate whinnies, the sound echoing against the steep sides of the pit. Zara had always been a cautious zebra, aware of the dangers lurking in the grasslands. Yet, here she was, completely vulnerable, unable to escape the deep hole that had ensnared her. As she peered up at the bright blue sky, a sense of dread washed over her. What if I can't get out? What will happen to my baby, she thought, her heart racing. The thought of her foal filled her with a fierce determination to escape. But her fears were not unfounded. Not far away, a pride of lions lounged beneath the shade of a sprawling acacia tree, their eyes half closed as they basked in the sun. The leader of the pride, a massive lion named Leo, was dozing lazily when Zara's cries reached his ears. He raised his head, his ears twitching as he listened. "What is that noise?" he growled, his interest piqued. He exchanged glances with his fellow lions, and in an instant, they were alert, their instincts igniting at the sound of a potential meal. "Sounds like a zebra in distress," one of the younger lions said, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "Let's go check it out." The lions stood up, their muscles rippling under their tawny fur as they padded toward the sound of Zara's cries. Zara heard the rustling of grass and the low growls of the lions approaching. Her heart sank as she realized the danger closing in. No! Not now, she thought, her instincts kicking in as she backed up against the wall of the pit. I have to protect my baby. Desperately, Zara tried to find a way out. She kicked her legs against the pit's walls, attempting to gain some traction. The mud was slick, and her heart raced with fear as she looked up at the looming shadows of the lions gathering at the edge. "Stay away," she called out, her voice trembling. But her cries only seemed to excite the lions further. Leo leaned over the edge of the pit, his golden mane catching the light. "Look at this little zebra, trapped and helpless," he taunted, his eyes gleaming with hunger. "This will be an easy meal." Zara's breath caught in her throat as the realization of her predicament washed over her. She was completely exposed, with no way to defend herself or her unborn foal. The lions licked their lips, their instincts honed for the hunt. This isn't good, she thought, panic setting in as she watched them circle the pit, their growls echoing ominously. "Don't worry, little zebra," Leo sneered, tilting his head. "You won't be alone for long." With that, he took a step back, signaling his pride to prepare for the inevitable attack. Zara felt a surge of fear. "I can't let them get me. I must find a way out." She looked around frantically, searching for anything that could help her escape. The walls of the pit were steep and slippery, and every attempt to climb higher sent her sliding back down. "What can I do?" she thought desperately. The weight of her unborn foal felt heavier than ever, and she couldn't afford to fail. With the lions closing in, Zara felt the urge to fight back, even in her weakened state. She kicked at the walls again, digging her hooves into the earth, but it was no use. She could hear the lions' footsteps growing closer, the sound of their heavy breathing sending chills down her spine. "This can't be the end," she whispered to herself, trying to summon the strength she needed. Suddenly, a loud noise pierced the air, startling both the lions and Zara. It was the roar of an engine, followed by the screeching of tires. A safari vehicle had arrived at the scene, bringing with it a group of curious tourists. "What's happening over there?" one of the passengers asked, peering out the window. Zara's ears perked up at the sound of the commotion. She could see the vehicle approaching, and a flicker of hope ignited within her. Maybe they can help, she thought, trying to keep her spirits up as the vehicle skidded to a stop nearby. The tourists climbed out, their eyes widening in disbelief at the sight before them. "Look! A zebra in trouble, a little girl exclaimed, pointing toward the pit. The guide, a seasoned ranger, quickly assessed the situation, realizing the urgency of the moment. "We have to do something," he shouted, pulling out his radio. "This zebra is in danger." The lions paused, momentarily distracted by the arrival of the humans, giving Zara a fleeting chance to gather her thoughts. "Stay back," the guide yelled, grabbing a flare gun from his bag. He aimed it toward the sky and fired, the bright red flare shooting up and exploding in a shower of sparks. Zara watched in awe as the brilliant light illuminated the area, startling the lions and causing them to retreat for a moment. "Now's my chance," she thought, adrenaline surging through her as she began to kick at the walls once more. The lions, confused by the loud bang and flashing light, hesitated, allowing Zara to gain a bit of momentum. With a surge of determination, she tried again to climb out of the pit. "I can't give up." "Not now," she urged herself, feeling the weight of her unborn foal urging her forward. But just as she made some progress, Leo's furious roar broke through the chaos, and the lions began to regroup. "Get that zebra," Leo commanded, his eyes narrowing as he rallied his pride. The other lions began to circle back, and Zara's heart sank once more. "I need to escape before it's too late," she thought, glancing back at the guide, who was shouting instructions to the tourists. "Everyone stay back." "This could get dangerous," he warned, trying to keep the onlookers safe while managing the chaotic scene. Zara felt a mix of hope and despair as she realized the humans were trying to help, but the lions were still a looming threat. With her heart racing, Zara kicked harder against the pit walls, desperate to reach the top. The humans had created a distraction, but she knew time was running out. The lions were growing restless, their growls echoing in the air as they prepared to launch their attack. In that moment, Zara realized she had to dig deep and find every ounce of strength she could muster. "For my baby," she thought fiercely, kicking once more with renewed determination. As she fought to escape, the guide aimed his flare gun again, firing it into the air. The bright light shot up, illuminating the savanna and startling the lions once more. They hesitated again, and Zara could see the confusion in their eyes. "This is my chance," she thought, pushing herself up with all her might. Just then, an unexpected sound broke through the chaos. The trumpeting call of an elephant echoed from the nearby trees. Zara looked up, her eyes widening in disbelief. "What's happening now?" she wondered, hope flickering in her chest. A massive elephant emerged from the brush, her presence commanding the attention of both the lions and the humans. "What's going on here?" she trumpeted, her voice booming as she stepped closer to the pit. Zara's heart raced with hope. Maybe she can help, she thought, watching as the lion pride hesitated, caught off guard by the sudden arrival of the elephant. The lions exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond to the formidable creature. As the elephants moved closer, Zara felt a rush of adrenaline. "I have to get out now," she thought. With a surge of energy, she pushed against the walls of the pit once more, her hooves digging into the earth as she desperately climbed. The scene around her was chaotic, with the guide continuing to shout at the lions and the elephant standing protectively near the pit. Zara could feel the weight of the moment bearing down on her, but she knew she couldn't give up. With one final effort, she kicked harder and harder, feeling her legs burn with exertion. "I can do this. I can escape," she thought, her determination pushing her forward. The lions were confused and distracted by the elephant's presence, giving Zara the moment she needed to climb. As she scrambled closer to the top, she could hear the thunderous footsteps of the elephant, now fully engaged in protecting her. "Stay away from the zebra," the elephant trumpeted fiercely, her massive body blocking the lion's path. With one last powerful kick, Zara lunged upward, finally pulling herself over the edge of the pit. She gasped for breath as she lay on the ground, feeling the sun warm her body. "I did it," she exclaimed, relief washing over her. But just as she thought she was safe, she turned to see Leo, his eyes burning with rage as he charges. Zara's heart raced as she backed up against the wall of the pit, her breaths coming in quick bursts. "I can't let them get me," she thought, trying to muster all her strength. The lions circled the pit, their growls echoing ominously around her. Zara kicked her legs desperately, hoping to find some way out. The walls were steep, the dirt crumbling beneath her hooves with every attempt to climb higher. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. She could feel the cold sweat trickling down her neck as she looked up at the predators looming above her. "Stay calm," she whispered to her unborn foal, her voice trembling. "We'll get out of this." The words felt hollow in her throat, but she needed to believe them. As she glanced up, she saw Leo, the largest of the lions, pacing back and forth with a predatory gleam in his eye. His massive frame was intimidating, and Zara felt a shiver run down her spine. He's just waiting for the right moment, she realized, fear gnawing at her insides. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly, and Zara looked around, confused. What was that, she wondered, feeling the vibrations beneath her hooves. The lions paused, their ears twitching as they sensed something approaching. Is there something else out there? Zara thought, her instincts alerting her to the danger. The thought of being attacked from two fronts was terrifying. She needed to focus on the immediate threat, but her mind raced with possibilities. Taking a deep breath, she steadied herself and prepared to kick at the wall again, willing her legs to move despite the fear that gripped her. I can't give up, she thought, her determination reigniting. But as she began to push herself up, Leo let out a low growl, sending a chill through her. You can't escape, he taunted, the other lions echoing his menacing laughter. Zara felt a surge of desperation as she thought of her foal. I must protect my baby, she reminded herself, and with renewed energy, she kicked harder against the wall. The sun was starting to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch out toward the pit. Zara knew she had to act quickly. The lions were becoming more agitated, and she could see their patience wearing thin. They were hungry, and their eyes glinted with the thrill of the hunt. I need to find a way out of here, she thought desperately. If I can just get a foothold. Suddenly, she caught sight of a few rocks jutted out from the side of the pit, just enough to give her a potential boost. That's it! Zara exclaimed in her mind, her heart pounding with hope. She turned toward the rocky ledge, positioning her legs beneath her. I can do this, she whispered, focusing all her strength on the small ledge above her. Just then, a loud roar echoed from the nearby bushes, causing Zara to freeze. It was a sound of authority, one that made even the lions pause. The tension in the air thickened as all eyes turned to the source of the noise. Zara's heart raced. What is happening? She wondered, glancing back up at Leo and his pride. They were no longer focused solely on her. Are they being challenged? In that moment of distraction, Zara seized her chance. She kicked off the wall with all her might, aiming for the rocks. The adrenaline surged through her as she felt her hooves scrape against the surface. Now, she shouted internally, reaching for the rocks with everything she had. But just as she grasped the ledge, Leo regained his focus, his growl resonating with fierce determination. Don't let her escape, he commanded, his voice a booming echo. The other lions sprang into action, their powerful muscles coiling as they prepared to pounce. Zara's heart sank. I can't let them catch me, she thought desperately, summoning all her energy to climb higher. She could feel the jagged edges of the rocks digging into her hooves, but she had no time to dwell on the pain. With a final push, she clawed her way up the rocks, but just as she thought she might be free, one of the lions lunged forward, teeth bared. No! Zara gasped, narrowly avoiding the snapping jaws that aimed for her tail. She felt a rush of air as the lion barely missed her, landing heavily on the ground with a frustrated growl. They're so close, she realized, panic flooding her veins. Zara scrambled faster, the sound of claws scraping against the dirt sending shivers down her spine. She was so close to freedom, but the lions were relentless. If I could just get one more push, she thought, her muscles screaming in protest. With every ounce of strength, she launched herself upward, gripping the rocks tightly. But just as she reached the top, another lion charged at her, roaring ferociously. Zara felt her heart race as she realized she was still trapped. What do I do, she thought, her mind racing. If I fall back into the pit, they'll get me for sure. As the lion circled below, Zara peered over the edge. Is there any way out? She wondered, scanning the surroundings. The tall grass nearby swayed gently in the wind, but there was no clear escape route. She needed to think fast. Suddenly, the ground began to rumble again, and Zara looked up in confusion. What is happening now? She wondered, feeling the vibrations intensify. The lions paused, their heads turning as the sound grew louder. Zara squinted into the distance, trying to see what was coming. Is it another animal? She thought, her heart pounding with uncertainty. Then, out of the brush, a safari vehicle emerged, its engine roaring as it approached the scene. The passengers inside were wide-eyed, their faces filled with shock at the sight of the lions and the trapped zebra. Zara felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they can help me, she thought, but as the vehicle skidded to a stop, the lions turned their attention toward this new threat. What's going to happen? Zara thought, her heart racing. Would the humans help her, or would they just watch? She couldn't tell if they were friend or foe. The guide inside the vehicle quickly assessed the situation, his eyes darting from the trapped zebra to the advancing lions. Stay in the vehicle, he shouted to the passengers, his voice filled with urgency. We need to scare those lions away. Zara felt a surge of hope. They might just save me. But as the guide reached for something in his pocket, Zara could see Leo sizing up the new threat. We need to act fast, Zara thought, feeling the adrenaline surge through her veins. The roar of the vehicle's engine was deafening, and the lions hesitated, unsure of their next move. Come on, please. Zara pleaded silently, wishing for the humans to intervene. She could see the lions regrouping, their eyes narrowing in determination. This is my chance, she thought, her heart pounding. If they could distract the lions long enough, maybe she could escape. As the guy pulled out a flare gun, Zara watched intently. What's he planning to do? She wondered. The air was thick with tension, and she could feel the weight of her situation bearing down on her. Please, let this work. The guide aimed the flare gun into the air and pulled the trigger, a bright flash illuminating the savannah. The loud bang echoed like thunder, causing the lions to freeze in shock. Zara seized the moment, scrambling back toward the rocks, pushing herself harder than she ever thought possible. I can make it, she thought, her heart racing with determination. But would it be enough to outsmart the lions and find her freedom? A safari vehicle roared into view, kicking up a cloud of dust as it barreled down the rugged terrain of the savannah. Inside, a group of tourists had just finished their morning coffee, eager for adventure. Their guide, a seasoned ranger named Tom, leaned forward in his seat, his eyes scanning the horizon. Suddenly, he caught sight of the commotion near the pit. Hold on tight, everyone, he shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. We have a situation up ahead. The tourists peered out of their windows, their hearts racing at the sight of a zebra struggling at the bottom of the pit, surrounded by a pride of hungry lions. What's happening? A young girl asked, her voice quivering with excitement and fear. Tom slammed on the brakes, bringing the vehicle to a screeching halt. That zebra is in real trouble, he said, his brow furrowing as he assessed the scene. We need to help her, but we have to be careful. He grabbed his binoculars from the dashboard, focusing on the lions as they prowled closer to the edge of the pit, growling and swishing their tails, their predatory instincts kicking in. Is that zebra pregnant? Another passenger gasped, leaning forward to get a better look. We can't just leave her. Tom nodded, feeling a surge of determination. We have to act fast, he said, formulating a plan. I'll get the radio. We need backup here. He quickly grabbed his walkie-talkie, his hands shaking with urgency as he made the call to nearby rangers. This is Tom at the safari tour. We've got a zebra trapped in a pit, surrounded by lions. We need immediate assistance. As Tom spoke, the situation in the pit grew more dire. Zara could feel her heart pounding in her chest, her instincts screaming at her to escape. She kicked desperately at the walls, but the mud was slick, and she was losing hope. Just then, she spotted the safari vehicle and heard the voices of the humans inside. Help! Please help me, she called out, though she knew they couldn't hear her. Tom's voice broke through her panic as he shouted instructions to the passengers. Stay in the vehicle and keep quiet. We don't want to attract the lion's attention. His heart raced as he watched the scene unfold. He could see the fear in the zebra's eyes, and it mirrored the urgency he felt within. Look! The lions are getting closer, one of the tourists cried, pointing out the window. Zara could feel their presence looming above her, and she looked up in horror as Leo, the lead lion, peered down into the pit. His eyes locked onto her, glinting with hunger and malice. This is it, she thought, panic clawing at her insides. I can't let them catch me. But just then, a loud noise pierced the tension in the air. A sudden, thunderous trumpet sound erupted from the bushes nearby. The sound sent shivers down Zara's spine, and she looked around, startled. The lions paused, their ears perked up, momentarily distracted by the unexpected interruption. Tom's eyes widened in surprise. What was that? He muttered, instinctively scanning the area. The tourists held their breath, unsure of what to expect. Stay alert, Tom warned, gripping the steering wheel tightly, his heart racing with anticipation. From the dense foliage emerged a massive figure, a herd of elephants lumbering towards the scene. At the front was Ella, the matriarch known for her gentle yet fierce nature. Oh wow! Look at that, a passenger exclaimed, pointing at the approaching elephants. They're huge. As Ella neared the pit, she immediately sensed the danger Zara was in. What's going on here? She trumpeted loudly, her voice carrying across the savannah. The lions turned, their bravado fading as they recognized the imposing presence of the elephants. Zara felt a surge of hope as she watched Ella approach. Help is here, she thought, her heart racing with relief. Maybe I can escape now. The pride of lions seemed uncertain, shifting their weight as they contemplated the new threat. Back off! Ella charged at the lions, her large ears flapping as she prepared to defend the vulnerable zebra. Tom watched in awe as the scene unfolded before him. This is incredible, he shouted to the tourists. The elephants are coming to the rescue. The lions hesitated, and Leo snarled, uncertain whether to challenge the elephants. The other lions exchanged glances, their instincts warning them against a confrontation with the larger animals. This is our chance, Zara thought, feeling invigorated by Ella's bravery. Get out of here, you cowards! Ella shouted, her voice firm and commanding. She moved closer to the edge of the pit, her massive frame casting a shadow over Zara. You'll have to get through me to reach her. With their resolve shaken, the lions began to retreat, growling in frustration. This isn't over. Leo spat, but his pride knew when to back down. One by one, they slinked away into the tall grass, their powerful bodies disappearing from view. As the lions fled, Zara finally felt a wave of relief wash over her. Ella! Thank you, she called out, her voice filled with gratitude. The elephants gathered around the pit, their towering presence offering her reassurance. Tom seized the opportunity and jumped out of the safari vehicle. Stay back, everyone! I'm going to help the zebra, he shouted, rushing toward the pit. Keep the elephants nearby in case the lions come back. Be careful, a passenger yelled, concern etched on their face. What if the lions return? But Tom was undeterred. He had a job to do, and he was determined to see it through. He approached the edge of the pit, looking down at Zara, who was still struggling to climb out. It's okay, I'm here to help you, he called out, extending his hand. Zara looked up at him, her heart racing with hope. Please, help me, she cried, her legs trembling as she attempted to gain her footing. Tom reached into the pit, carefully positioning himself to give her support. You can do it, Zara. Just a little more, he encouraged, his voice steady and reassuring. With the combined strength of Ella nearby and Tom's steady hand, Zara pushed herself up one last time. She kicked her legs with all her might, and with a final effort, she grasped Tom's hand. He pulled her up, and with one swift motion, she was out of the pit and on solid ground. The crowd erupted in cheers, celebrating Zara's escape from danger. You did it, The tourists shouted, applauding Tom's bravery and the elephant's intervention. Zara took a moment to catch her breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on her back, thankful to be alive. Thank you, she exclaimed, nuzzling against Tom's hand. I thought I was done for. Ella trumpeted in triumph, her trunk raised high. You're safe now, Zara. You're part of the herd, and we protect our own. As Tom stepped back, a sense of pride washed over him. He had been a part of something extraordinary, witnessing the raw power of nature and the bonds that held these animals together. With the lions driven off, Zara felt a surge of strength. She knew she would be okay, especially with Ella and her newfound friends by her side. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow across the savannah, Zara realized that not only had she escaped danger, but she had also found a new family in the most unexpected way. The day had begun with terror, but it ended with friendship and hope, a reminder of the resilience of life in the wild. Together, they watched as the sun set, grateful for the chance to continue their journey and for the bonds that had been forged in the face of danger. It was a day none of them would ever forget, a tale of courage, compassion, and the surprising strength found in unity. Zara's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the lions circle the pit, their eyes gleaming with predatory hunger. The sun beat down relentlessly, and the shadows of the acacia trees felt like a distant comfort. With each growl, her hope flickered like a dying flame. She needed a miracle, something to distract the lions long enough for her to escape. Stay calm, she whispered to herself, even as fear coursed through her veins. She looked down at her swollen belly and felt the flutter of her unborn foal, as if to say, Mom, we can make it out of this. The thought of her baby gave her strength. She couldn't give up. Zara knew that she had to try to climb out of the pit, but how? With determination flooding her, Zara took a few steps back, positioning herself for a better run at the slick wall of the pit. The lions were still focused on their prey, and she could hear their heavy breathing mingling with the distant sounds of the savannah. Now or never, she thought, gathering all her strength. Let's go, she urged herself, her hooves digging into the dirt for traction. Zara charged forward, using her powerful legs to leap toward the wall. For a moment, she thought she might make it. Her front hooves found a tiny ledge, and she pushed up with everything she had. But the wall was too steep, and she slipped back down, landing heavily in the pit once more. Ugh, she grunted in frustration, shaking her head. This can't be it. I can't let them win. She looked up, watching as Leo paced back and forth at the edge of the pit. His eyes sparkled with excitement, and a low growl rumbled in his throat. He was enjoying this, playing with his food, just as a cat would with a mouse. Zara glanced around, searching for anything she could use to her advantage. The pit was littered with dry grass and small stones, but nothing looked helpful. Then, from the corner of her eye, she noticed a branch that had fallen into the pit during the last storm. It was long and sturdy, lodged halfway up the side. If I can just reach that branch, she thought, her heart racing with hope. Okay, Zara, focus, she whispered to herself. You can do this. She gathered her strength once more, taking deep breaths to steady her nerves. She carefully maneuvered toward the branch, inching her way along the base of the pit, using the ground for support. The lions were still watching, their gazes locked onto her movements. Zara could feel their hunger, and it made her shiver. I must be quick, she reminded herself. The branch was only a few feet away, and she could see that it might give her enough leverage to climb higher. Just as she reached out for the branch, a loud crack echoed through the air. Zara froze, her heart stopping. One of the lions, a young male named Jax, had lunged forward, his powerful body slamming into the edge of the pit. The ground shook, and Zara's instincts kicked in. They're getting too close, she thought, panic rising in her throat. Zara knew she had to act fast. She grabbed hold of the branch and pulled with all her might. It shifted slightly, and she felt a surge of hope. This might be my chance, she thought, digging her hooves into the dirt. She pushed herself upward, using the branch to stabilize her weight. Come on. But Leo wasn't about to let her escape that easily. He lunged forward, his massive paws reaching down into the pit, aiming directly for Zara. The ground trembled under his weight as he roared with fury. "Get back down there, zebra," he growled, his voice booming. Zara's heart raced as she felt the hot breath of the lion wash over her. She couldn't give up now. With every ounce of strength, she pulled herself up, inching closer to the top. The branch creaked ominously, threatening to snap under the strain. "Just a little further," she urged herself. "You can do it for your baby." As she reached for the edge, the other lions began to grow restless, sensing that their meal might escape them. Jax, who had been watching closely, decided to join the fray. He jumped up, snapping at Zara's hooves. Zara felt a jolt of fear as she glanced down, her instincts screaming at her to climb faster. "I won't let you take me," she shouted, pushing her body up with renewed determination. The pit felt like a never-ending battle, each moment stretching into eternity. With one final push, Zara managed to grab the lip of the pit, hoisting herself upward. "I'm almost there," she yelled, scrambling for the last bit of freedom. The branch finally gave way under her weight, and she felt a moment of sheer terror as she slipped. But just as it seemed like she would fall back down, Zara found her footing on the edge. She swung her legs over and rolled onto the ground outside the pit, gasping for breath. "I did it! I made it!" she cheered, her heart pounding with exhilaration. But her celebration was short-lived. The lions, now enraged, snarled as they realized their prey had escaped. Leo let out a deafening roar, and the other lions began to advance toward Zara. "Get her," he commanded, fury lighting up his eyes. Zara quickly scrambled to her feet, glancing back at the pit. "I have to run," she thought, fear gripping her heart once more. She took off, her legs pumping furiously as she raced across the savannah. In the distance, she spotted a thick cluster of bushes. "If I can just reach those, I might be able to hide," she thought, pushing herself to run faster. But the lions were hot on her heels, their growls echoing in her ears. "They won't let me go easily," she realized, her heart sinking. As Zara neared the bushes, she could hear the rustling of the grass behind her. The lions were closing in, and she knew she had to act fast. With one final burst of energy, she leapt into the bushes, forcing her way through the dense foliage. The world around her exploded into chaos. She felt thorns scratching at her sides, but she pressed on, knowing that this was her only chance. The lions halted at the edge of the bushes, their bodies tense and ready to pounce. Zara could feel their eyes on her, waiting for the moment she would emerge. Think, she urged herself, panting heavily. "How can I escape?" She crouched low, hoping the thickness of the bushes would hide her from view. The sound of the lion's heavy breathing made her heart race faster. Suddenly, a rustling sound caught her attention. A group of animals had gathered nearby, curious about the commotion. A pair of antelopes peeked through the grass, their eyes wide with concern. "What's happening?" one whispered, fear evident in her voice. "There's a zebra being hunted," said another, shaking his head in disbelief. "We have to help her." Zara could hardly believe what she was hearing. Help, she thought, hope rekindling within her. But how could they help? She was trapped in the bushes, with the lions still prowling nearby. As the antelopes gathered, they devised a plan. "We need to create a distraction," one suggested, looking around nervously. "If we can divert the lion's attention, maybe she can escape." Zara listened intently, feeling a spark of determination. "They're going to help me," she thought, her heart swelling with gratitude. The group of antelopes agreed to charge at the lions, making loud noises to draw their attention. "On my count," the leader said, his voice steady. 1, 2, 3. With a burst of energy, the antelopes leaped into action, bounding out of the bushes and sprinting toward the lions. "Look over here," one shouted, waving his hooves. The lions turned, startled by the sudden movement. "What's going on?" Leo growled, confused by the unexpected intrusion. The antelopes zigzagged, trying to confuse the pride and draw them away from Zara's hiding spot. Would Zara take this chance to escape? Could she run fast enough to get away from the predators that had hunted her so mercilessly? As Leo roared in anger, his massive frame loomed over the pit, casting a long shadow that sent shivers down Zara's spine. The lions, emboldened by their leader's ferocity, began to inch closer to the edge, their predatory instincts taking over. Zara could feel the ground beneath her tremble as they circled, their eyes glinting with hunger. This is it, she thought, her heart racing. I can't let them catch me. The safari guide, noticing the lion's advancing aggression, felt his heart pound in his chest. We need to distract them, he shouted, adrenaline coursing through his veins. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Someone grab a stick or something. He jumped out of the vehicle and looked around for anything that might help divert the lion's attention away from Zara. Passengers from the safari vehicle looked at each other, fear evident in their eyes. Is this really happening? A young girl whispered to her father, clutching his arm. Are the lions really going to get her? Her father squeezed her shoulder, trying to maintain calm. We have to trust the guide, he replied, his voice steady despite the anxiety flooding through him. Meanwhile, the guide's thoughts raced as he scanned the area. He spotted a fallen branch lying nearby and dashed over to it, grabbing it in one swift motion. With a firm grip on the stick, he turned back to the lions, shouting loudly to capture their attention. Hey! Over here, he yelled, waving the branch above his head. The lions paused, momentarily distracted by the commotion. Leo's ears perked up, and he glanced towards the guide, instinctively assessing the new threat. What is that human doing? He growled, his instincts battling with curiosity. The other lions followed suit, their focus shifting away from Zara, who seized the moment to push herself harder against the wall of the pit. Come on, Zara, you can do this, she urged herself, her hooves scrambling against the dirt. She could feel the muscles in her legs straining, but the adrenaline surged through her body, fueling her determination. The guide continued to shout and wave the stick, hoping to lure the lions away completely. Get back! Leave her alone, he yelled, his voice growing hoarse as he fought to be heard above the lions' growls. The other passengers, seeing his bravery, began to cheer him on. You can do it, one shouted. Keep them distracted. Zara felt a glimmer of hope. If she could just climb out of the pit before the lions regained their focus, she might escape. But as she looked up, she saw Leo moving closer again, his patience wearing thin. Enough of this foolishness, he snarled, his fangs glinting menacingly in the sunlight. I want that zebra. The guide noticed Leo's renewed interest in Zara and realized he had to act fast. Hey! Lion, he shouted, his voice booming. You think you can take her? You'll have to get through me first. Leo paused again, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. You think you can scare me with a stick, he scoffed, but deep down, he recognized the challenge. The other lions hesitated, sensing the shift in dynamics. The guide took a step forward, brandishing the stick with all the confidence he could muster. Yes, I can. You are not going to harm that zebra while I'm here. His determination was palpable, and it radiated into the air, filling the scene with an unexpected tension. As the guide moved closer, the lion's eyes shifted between the zebra in the pit and the brave human. What should we do? One of the younger lions asked, unsure of their next move. Leo growled, clearly frustrated. Stay focused. She's right there. We can finish this quickly. Zara could feel her heart racing as she listened to the confrontation. The guide was risking everything for her. I have to get out, she thought desperately. With renewed energy, she kicked harder against the walls of the pit, feeling the dirt shift under her hooves. The guide continued to distract the lions, waving the stick and yelling. You don't want to mess with me. I've got this stick, and I'm not afraid to use it. Zara chuckled internally at the absurdity of the situation. She appreciated the guide's bravery, even if he was slightly outmatched. Suddenly, just as Zara was making progress, Leo lunged forward, his massive paws digging into the ground. Enough games, he roared, glaring at the guide. You will regret this intrusion. The other lions gathered around Leo, their growls echoing through the air. The guide felt a rush of fear but stood his ground. "I'm not afraid of you," he shouted back, his voice steady despite the chaos. He waved the stick again, hoping to ward them off. Zara realized that time was running out. "I can't just sit here," she thought, her heart pounding with urgency. She focused all her strength, kicking and climbing, determined to escape. With one final push, Zara found her footing. The adrenaline coursed through her, and she scrambled up the side of the pit, her hooves digging into the soft earth. Come on," she urged herself, feeling the lion's gazes boring into her back. Leo's frustration boiled over, and he lunged toward the pit, ready to pounce. "Get back here," he snarled, his sharp teeth bared. The guide shouted, "No! Leave her alone," as he swung the stick in front of him, but it was clear the tension was reaching its peak. Zara took one last leap, her hooves finally finding solid ground. "I did it," she thought triumphantly, but the danger was still present. Leo turned his attention to her, eyes narrowed with fury. Just as Zara thought she was safe, Leo's roar pierced the air, and he lunged toward her with incredible speed. Would she escape the clutches of the ferocious lion, or would this be the end of her fight for survival? From the dense brush, a figure emerged, a massive elephant named Ella, known for her gentle nature but fierce protectiveness over those in danger. Her massive ears flapped as she stepped forward, and her trunk swayed gracefully. "What's going on here?" she trumpeted, her voice booming across the savannah, causing both the lions and the humans to freeze in their tracks. Zara, feeling a glimmer of hope, couldn't believe her eyes. "Ella," she called out, her heart swelling with relief. "Help me." The lions, caught off guard by the sudden arrival of the elephant, hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to respond. They had faced many animals in the savannah, but Ella was a force to be reckoned with. Ella's presence was commanding. She was larger than any of the lions, her strength radiating confidence. As she stomped forward, the ground shook beneath her feet, and the lions instinctively stepped back, their eyes wide. "Leave her alone!" Ella bellowed, her trunk raised high as she confronted Leo, the leader of the lion pride. "You have no right to harm her or her unborn foal." Leo, who had been roaring moments before, now found himself uncertain. He puffed out his chest, trying to regain his bravado. "This zebra is our prey," he snarled, though his voice wavered slightly. The other lions exchanged nervous glances, sensing the change in the atmosphere. They had never backed down from a meal, but something about Ella's determination made them wary. Zara felt a surge of gratitude and relief as Ella stood protectively between her and the lions. "Thank you, Ella," she shouted, her heart racing. "I was so scared." Ella turned her head, looking at Zara with kind eyes. "I'm here for you, Zara." "You are not alone," she said, her voice soothing. The connection between them was palpable, and Zara felt a sense of safety she hadn't felt moments before. Leo, regaining his composure, tried to intimidate Ella. "You think you can protect her?" "There are too many of us," he roared, rallying his pride to stand firm. The other lions bristled, their instincts kicking in as they prepared to defend their territory and their next meal. But Ella remained undeterred. "You are outnumbered, Leo," she said calmly. "But you are also outmatched. I will not allow you to harm this zebra." Her presence was a wall of strength, and the lions could sense her determination. The other animals in the savannah had long respected Ella for her fierce loyalty. They knew that when it came to protecting those in need, she was unstoppable. Zara watched as Ella stood tall, her powerful frame blocking the way to the pit. The tension in the air was thick as the lions considered their options. Suddenly, a loud rustling came from the nearby bushes, drawing everyone's attention. A herd of wildebeests appeared, their movements frantic as they sensed the danger. "We should go," one of the younger lions hissed nervously, glancing at the approaching herd. "They might lead the humans this way." Leo's eyes narrowed as he weighed his options. He could feel the pressure mounting. Zara had escaped the pit, Ella was standing strong, and the wildebeests were a potential distraction. "This isn't over," he growled, his pride looking to him for direction. "We'll regroup and come back later." With that, Leo motioned for his pride to retreat, their growls fading as they backed away into the grass. Ella watched them go, her heart racing, ensuring they would not turn back. Once the lions were out of sight, she turned to Zara, her trunk reaching out to reassure her. "You're safe now," Ella said softly, her voice gentle. "You did well to stay strong." Zara nodded, her body trembling from the adrenaline but now feeling an immense wave of gratitude. "Thank you, Ella," she replied, tears welling up in her eyes. "I thought I was done for." Ella smiled, her presence comforting. "We all need help sometimes. I'm glad I could be here for you." Just then, the sounds of the safari vehicle roared back into view, and the guide jumped out, eyes wide with concern. "Zara, are you okay?" he called, rushing toward the pit. The other passengers began to gather around, their expressions a mix of relief and awe at the unexpected turn of events. Zara stood tall, regaining her composure. "I'm fine now, thanks to Ella," she exclaimed, glancing up at the elephant. The guide approached Ella, his face full of wonder. "Thank you for saving her," he said, looking into her gentle eyes. "You are truly a protector of the savannah." Ella bowed her head slightly, humbled by the praise. "It is my duty to protect those in need," she said, her voice strong yet warm. As the passengers began to take photos and capture the moment, Zara felt a sense of community building around her. She realized that her story had touched the hearts of those watching, and now, she was part of something larger. "Can we help her?" one of the children from the safari vehicle asked, pointing to Zara. "She needs to get to safety." The guide nodded, contemplating the best course of action. "We should create a path for her to leave the area safely," he suggested. "Ella, can you guide her?" "Of course," Ella replied, stepping aside and encouraging Zara to follow her. "Let's get you out of here." With the guide leading the way and the passengers watching closely, Zara took her first steps away from the pit, feeling a renewed sense of strength. Ella walked beside her, creating a barrier of safety, while the guide and the passengers kept watch for any signs of the lions returning. As they moved, the guide explained to the passengers the importance of respecting wildlife and the delicate balance of nature. "Today, we witnessed the incredible bond between animals," he said, gesturing to Ella and Zara. "It's a reminder that help can come from the most unexpected places." Once they reached the edge of a clearing, Zara paused to look back at the pit where she had been trapped. A wave of relief washed over her as she realized she was safe. "Thank you, everyone," she called out, her voice filled with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without all of you." The children cheered, their voices ringing with encouragement. "You're brave," one girl shouted. "You're our hero." Zara felt her heart swell with pride, realizing that she had not only survived, but had inspired those around her. Ella stood by her side, a constant reminder of the strength of friendship and protection. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the savannah, the guide gathered everyone together for a moment of reflection. "Let's remember this day and the lessons we learned," he said, smiling warmly at the group. "Nature is both beautiful and dangerous, and it's our job to respect it and protect each other." Zara looked up at Ella, who was gazing at the horizon. "I couldn't agree more," she said softly, feeling grateful for the unexpected turn her day had taken. As they prepared to leave, Zara took one last look around the savannah, the sun dipping below the horizon. She knew that her life had changed in ways she never expected. With Ella by her side and the support of the humans, she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they walked toward a new beginning, united in their strength and determination. The bond formed that day would carry them through, reminding Zara that sometimes, rescue comes from the most unlikely places. As they left the savannah behind, she felt a sense of hope blossoming in her heart, ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited her in the wild. With one last burst of strength, Zara scrambled out of the pit, collapsing onto the ground beside Ella, the massive elephant who had just saved her life. "You did it!" Ella exclaimed, her trunk reaching out to nuzzle Zara gently. "I knew you could make it." The zebra looked up, tears of gratitude glistening in her eyes. "Thank you, Ella. I owe you my life." As Zara caught her breath, the remaining lions stood at the edge of the pit, their expressions shifting from shock to anger. Leo, the leader, snarled and paced back and forth, his muscles tense as he glared at the two females. "You think you can just walk away?" he growled, his voice low and threatening. "This isn't over." Ella stood tall, her body casting a large shadow over Zara. "You will leave her alone," she declared, her voice steady and powerful. "This zebra is under my protection now. If you have any sense left, you will turn around and walk away." The tension hung heavy in the air, with every creature nearby sensing the impending confrontation. Zara felt a surge of hope and strength. With Ella by her side, she wasn't just a trapped zebra anymore, she was part of a formidable team. "We can't let them intimidate us," Zara said, her voice growing stronger. "I won't be bullied, not now, not ever again." The other lions shifted uneasily, exchanging uncertain glances. They had seen Ella before, respected her for her size and strength. "This is not our territory," one of the younger lions whispered to Leo, who was starting to feel the pressure of the situation. "Perhaps we should retreat." But Leo, stubborn and proud, shook his head. "No, I won't let a foolish elephant dictate our actions. We are lions, apex predators. We don't back down from anything." His words were meant to rally his pride, but deep down, he could feel the doubt creeping in. Zara took a step closer to Ella, feeling braver with each passing moment. "You've already lost, Leo," she said defiantly. "You tried to take advantage of me when I was trapped. But now, with my friend here, I'm free, and I'll never allow you to threaten me again." Ella trumpeted, the sound echoing across the savannah like a clarion call. "Leave now, or you will face the consequences," she warned, her eyes fixed on Leo with fierce determination. The lions hesitated, and Zara could see the wheels turning in their minds as they weighed their options. Suddenly, a loud noise erupted from the bushes behind them. It sounded like a stampede. The lions turned to look, and Zara's heart raced with confusion. What was happening now? From the underbrush, a herd of wildebeests charged onto the scene, startled by the commotion. They halted abruptly when they saw the lions, their instinct for self-preservation kicking in. "Look out," one of them shouted, eyes wide with panic. The wildebeests, sensing the danger, began to scatter in all directions, creating chaos in the already tense situation. Zara seized the moment. "Now! We have to go," she urged Ella, and together they sprinted away from the pit and towards the safety of the trees, the sounds of the wildebeests creating a distracting ruckus. As they ran, Zara could hear Leo roaring in frustration, barking orders at his pride to regroup. "This isn't over, zebra," he shouted after them, but the sound faded as they put distance between themselves and the danger. Once they were safely hidden among the trees, Zara stopped to catch her breath, her heart pounding with adrenaline. "We did it," she exclaimed, turning to Ella, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You saved me." Ella smiled gently, her large eyes warm and reassuring. "Of course I did, my friend. I would do anything to protect you. But you were so brave. You climbed out of that pit with such determination." "Thank you for believing in me," Zara said, her voice filled with emotion. "I didn't think I could escape until you showed up. I thought I was done for." "We all have moments of fear, Zara. What matters is how we choose to respond. You stood up for yourself, and that is what makes you strong," Ella said, her words resonating deep within Zara's heart. As they began to walk further into the cover of the trees, Zara glanced back towards the pit, feeling a mix of fear and relief. "Do you think they will come after us?" she asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. Ella shook her head. "Not today. They know they were outmatched, especially with the wildebeests nearby. Lions are opportunistic hunters, and they won't waste their energy chasing after us now that their attention has been diverted." Feeling reassured, Zara walked alongside Ella, her spirit gradually lifting as they moved deeper into the safety of the forest. "What will happen now?" she wondered aloud. "Will I be safe from them? Ella paused, turning to Zara with a serious expression. You have the strength to keep yourself safe. Remember, you are not alone anymore. You have me as your friend, and I will always be here to help you when you need it. Zara smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. I can't thank you enough, Ella. You're my hero. As they settled down under a shady tree, both animals took a moment to rest, feeling the cool breeze brush against them. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting a dappled light that felt soothing and peaceful. Let's take a moment to enjoy this, Ella suggested, closing her eyes for a moment. We've faced danger today, and now we deserve a little peace. Zara nodded in agreement, her heart still racing but now filled with gratitude for her friend. She leaned against Ella, feeling the comfort of her presence. I'm so glad you were there for me, she said softly. I don't know what I would have done without you. As the afternoon wore on, Zara and Ella continued to chat, sharing stories about their lives and their experiences in the wild. They laughed about their adventures and spoke of their hopes for the future. I want to raise my foal in a safe place, away from predators, Zara said, her eyes shining with dreams of motherhood. I want to teach it to be brave and strong. Ella nodded, her heart swelling with pride for her friend. You will be an amazing mother, Zara. Your foal will learn from your courage and your spirit. The sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant colors of orange and pink. As they watched the horizon, Zara felt a deep sense of peace wash over her. Despite the dangers they had faced, she knew she was no longer alone. Suddenly, they heard a commotion in the distance. Zara's ears perked up, and she turned to Ella. What's that noise? Ella listened intently, her large ears twitching. It sounds like the wildebeests are gathering. They must have regrouped after the lions left, she explained. It's always safer in numbers. Zara felt a surge of hope. Maybe we should join them, she said excitedly. They could be a good source of protection. Yes. Let's go find them, Ella agreed, rising to her feet. Together, they made their way through the trees, following the sounds of the wildebeests. As they approached, they saw a large group of them grazing peacefully in a clearing. The sight brought a smile to Zara's face. Look! They're all back together, she said, relief washing over her. I feel so much safer now. As they approached the herd, Zara felt a sense of belonging. The wildebeests were wary at first, but when they saw Ella, they relaxed, recognizing her as a protector of the savannah. Zara! You're safe, one of the wildebeests called out, rushing over to greet her. We heard what happened with the lions. We were worried about you. Zara felt overwhelmed with gratitude for the support of the herd. Thank you. I'm safe now, thanks to Ella, she replied, gesturing to her friend. The wildebeests gathered around, eager to hear the story of Zara's daring escape. As she recounted her experience, Ella stood proudly by her side, knowing she had played a crucial role in Zara's safety. From now on, we'll look out for each other, a wise old wildebeest said, nodding in agreement. Strength lies in unity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Zara felt a deep sense of comfort and belonging among her new friends. Together, they all settled down for the night, surrounded by the warm glow of companionship. Zara lay next to Ella, who had her trunk draped protectively over her. Thank you for everything, Zara whispered. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Ella smiled gently. And I'm grateful to have you, my friend. We'll face whatever comes our way together. As the stars twinkled above, Zara closed her eyes, feeling safe and loved. The trials they had faced only strengthened their bond, and she knew that together they could overcome any challenge the savannah threw their way. With a heart full of hope and dreams for the future, Zara drifted off to sleep, ready to embrace the new adventures that awaited her in the wild savannah. She felt a sense of belonging that she had never experienced before, surrounded by friends who cared for her deeply. The worries of the past began to fade, replaced by visions of her foal frolicking in the open grasslands, under the watchful eyes of Ella and the herd. As the night deepened, the soft sounds of the savannah serenaded Zara into a peaceful sleep. The gentle rustle of leaves and the distant calls of night creatures created a calming atmosphere. Dreaming of the future, she imagined her foal running free, playing with the wildebeests and other animals of the savanna, learning the ways of the wild. When dawn broke, the sun spilled its golden light across the landscape, waking the herd from their slumber. Zara blinked awake, stretching her legs and feeling rejuvenated after a restful night. She looked around and smiled at the sight of her friends. The wildebeests grazed nearby, and Ella stood tall, her trunk raised in a greeting. "Good morning, Zara," Ella called, her voice warm and inviting. "Ready for another day?" Zara nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. I can't wait to see what adventures await us today." The herd began to move, following the sun as it rose higher in the sky. They ventured toward a nearby waterhole, a vital source of life in the savanna. Zara trotted alongside Ella, feeling more confident than ever. The earlier fears of the lions felt distant, overshadowed by the warmth of her newfound community. As they approached the waterhole, Zara noticed other animals gathering, a mix of zebras, wildebeests, and even a few gazelles. The sight of so many creatures coming together filled her with joy. "It's beautiful to see everyone united," she said to Ella. "I feel like we're all part of something special." Ella agreed, her eyes shining with pride. "That's the spirit of the savanna. We all depend on each other for survival, and together, we're stronger." At the waterhole, animals took turns drinking, splashing playfully and enjoying the refreshing coolness. Zara joined the other zebras, happily drinking alongside them. She felt a bond with each animal around her, knowing they had all faced challenges in their lives. Suddenly, a commotion arose at the edge of the waterhole. Zara turned her head to see a group of young zebras playing a game, racing back and forth, their hooves pounding against the ground. One of them stumbled and fell, landing right at the feet of a startled wildebeest. "Oh no!" Zara exclaimed, rushing over. "Are you all right?" The young zebra shook himself off, laughing as he stood up. "I'm fine. Just a little too fast." The other zebras joined in the laughter, and the atmosphere lightened again. "Let's race," one of the young zebras suggested. "Whoever wins gets to choose the next game." Excitement buzzed through the group, and Zara felt her heart leap with joy. "I want to race," she declared, feeling a spark of playful energy. She had been through so much, and now she wanted to embrace the lighthearted moments. As the zebras lined up at the edge of the waterhole, Ella watched with a smile, her trunk raised in encouragement. "Go, Zara," she cheered, and the other animals joined in, forming a cheering crowd. "On your mark, get set, go." And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. The shout rang out, and the zebras bolted forward, hooves pounding against the earth. Zara felt the rush of adrenaline as she raced alongside her friends, the wind flowing through her mane. She pushed herself to run faster, the exhilaration of the race driving her forward. The laughter and cheers of the animals fueled her determination. She glanced to her side and saw a young zebra, just as fast, vying for the lead. Zara dug deep, feeling strong and powerful, reminding herself of the courage she had shown in the pit just days before. As they approached the finish line, Zara surged ahead, crossing it just a breath before the others. Cheers erupted from the crowd, and she couldn't help but grin widely. "I did it," she exclaimed, panting but exhilarated. Ella trumpeted in delight, joining the celebration. "You're a champion, Zara. That was an incredible race." Zara beamed with pride, surrounded by her friends who celebrated her victory. "What should we play next?" she asked, her heart filled with joy and camaraderie. The young zebra who had challenged her smiled widely. "How about we play hide and seek? You can be the seeker." The suggestion sparked excitement among the group, and soon they were running off in all directions, each animal looking for the best hiding spots. Zara took a moment to catch her breath before counting down, her heart light and her spirit soaring. "Ready or not, here I come," she called, her voice ringing out as she began her search. The playful laughter of her friends echoed around her, and Zara felt grateful for the happiness and safety of the moment. As they played, the worries of the past faded into the background. The bonds they were forming reminded Zara that even in the face of danger, friendship and community could prevail. After several rounds of games, they all gathered under a shady tree, panting from their activities. Zara lay down beside Ella, feeling the warmth radiate from her friend. "Thank you for always being there for me, Ella," she said softly. "I don't know what I would do without you." Ella wrapped her trunk around Zara gently. "You're never alone, my friend. We will always look out for each other, no matter what happens." Just then, a commotion arose again as a group of young lions approached the waterhole, their presence sending a wave of apprehension through the animals. Zara felt her heart race again, but this time, she looked to Ella, who remained calm and steady. The young lions were curious, but they were also cautious, clearly aware of Ella's reputation. Zara took a deep breath, reminding herself of the strength she had found in her friendships. "We can handle this together," she whispered to Ella, her resolve strengthening. As the lions approached, one of them, a young male with playful eyes, stepped forward. "We're not here to cause trouble," he said, glancing around at the gathered animals. "We just wanted to see what all the excitement was about." Zara noticed a few of the older animals tense up, but she stepped forward, feeling the need to speak. "We're just playing and enjoying the day. No harm meant. You're welcome to join us if you'd like." The young lion tilted his head, surprised. "Really? You'd let us play?" Zara nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "Yes. We're all part of this savannah together. Let's have fun." Ella, standing tall, added, "Unity is what keeps us all safe. We can learn from one another." Slowly, the tension began to dissipate, and the young lions exchanged glances, surprised by Zara's invitation. "Okay, we'd love to join," one of the lions said, stepping forward. As the young lions joined the group, Zara felt a sense of hope blossoming within her. This was a chance to bridge the divide and create new friendships. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the savannah, the animals began to play together, laughing and sharing in the joy of the moment. Zara looked around, feeling overwhelmed with happiness. She was no longer just a zebra, she was part of a larger community, one that embraced differences and celebrated togetherness. As the day came to an end, the sun set in vibrant colors, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple. The animals gathered for one last time under the tree, sharing stories and laughter. Zara turned to Ella, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you for believing in me and helping me find my place here," she said, her voice full of emotion. "I'm proud of you, Zara," Ella replied warmly. "You've shown great courage and kindness. Together, we can create a safe and joyful life for everyone in the savannah." As night fell, the stars twinkled brightly above, and Zara felt a sense of peace settle over her. With friends by her side and a heart full of hope, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united as one. In the vast expanse of the savannah, where once there was fear and uncertainty, now stood a community filled with friendship, love, and the promise of brighter days ahead. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell.